Let's just start with what we're not going to do: recreate school at home. That's not to say we should throw the whole school schedule out the window. However, there are some changes that we can make to make this work even better in our homeschools. Hi, I'm Melissa, and if we haven't met yet, I'm a homeschooling mom of 4 and work from home mom. This video is going to set you up with some options, some things to think about as you set up your homeschooling schedule. And just to be clear, this is the best thing for your family. You're going to hear me say that so many times, but I'm going to keep saying it until you actually believe it, okay? Because each family is going to be different, each state is different, each schedule each year is going to be different. So the idea here is that you're taking into account lots of different factors and making the best choice for your crew. Now, the last point in this video is actually really important, and it's not something that people take into account often enough, and it'll actually save you money. So please do stick around for the end. I don't want you to miss this. Now, enough of the intro. Let's just get started. Let's get rolling. The place where you should start isn't where we really want to start, but we got to do our due diligence. We need to keep it legal, friends. So if you're in the US, the place that you're going to want to start is hslda.org. This stands for Homeschool Legal Defense Association. This is going to be a great option for those in the US because it breaks down the state requirements for homeschooling on a state-by-state level. They do a lot of great work and give you a lot of great support. So it's a fantastic option, again, if you're in the US. If you're outside the US, you need to check with your local Ministry of Education or Education Department to just check that you're in sync with what needs to be done. This is just to be sure that you're covering all your bases when it comes to giving notice of your intent to homeschool, covering all the standards of learning that might be required, as well as showing progress and attendance as part of your homeschool. Now, just a note on those standards of learning, while they might seem overwhelming at first, they're actually a really nice guide, just so that you know, if you're not a career educator, what is expected at certain grade levels. However, this is all something we are going to kind of throw out the window in a little while. So stick around for that. But the idea here is that you've got something to go on if you just need a little bit of a plan. Now, to show you just how different each case can be, remember HSLDA, what I mentioned a few minutes ago? They've got this beautiful map. Now, this map is lovely. It's color-coded. And as you can see at the bottom, it shows the different states and their rigor of regulations on homeschool families. Now, we're from Virginia, and in Virginia, I am actually a licensed educator. My teaching license is valid, which actually changes the rules for me. It's no longer moderately regulated for me. There is zero oversight for what I need to do in terms of providing evidence or portfolios for our kids. So just again, take the time to go through these steps because it really will save you headaches later on and just give you the peace of mind that you're on a good track with your family and homeschooling. Now, the second thing we need to take into account are learner needs. Now, I would have put this first. It's first in my heart. However, we need to keep things legal, right? So keeping things in sync with what our learners need is really the heart behind why we're homeschooling anyway. Lots of things to take into account here. And again, this is where it's going to further diverge into what our families need. So things like age, learning needs regarding neurodivergence, interests, and the needs of various subjects and kids' personalities. These are all going to play into how our days look when we're figuring out what to do for homeschool. Remember, we are not recreating school at home. School does not need to take 6 to 8 hours a day as it does in the traditional school system. However, these are things that we can kind of walk through our kids with and figure out what they need in order to be successful in their learning. Now, it's really tempting to say, okay, first we do this, then we do this, then we do this, and we slot in 30, 45 minutes for each thing. However, think about different subjects and how kids are doing in these different subjects. Note on various subjects, the grade levels that we deal with are pretty subjective, and there's no need to adhere to those really strictly. Here's an example of what I mean. If a kid is working at 4th grade in math, fantastic, let them go. Now, if they're having trouble with 4th grade language arts, writing, reading, then we may need to set the fourth grade book aside and either go back to the third grade book or supplement with other things. In our school, we've done this by using things from Teachers Pay Teachers, Freckle, Nearpod. There are free and paid options in here in order to fill those gaps. But you might need to get creative in figuring out how to fill those gaps with some extra supplementary material, and not being afraid to use tutoring or online classes as well to help them strengthen and fill those gaps, and then move back to that curriculum or book that you were starting with. I mentioned this here because this is something that's going to affect your daily and probably your yearly schedule as you're working through different topics with your kids. Don't feel like you need to go according to your school system's calendar. If you need a little bit more flexibility in your year, that's fine. Maybe that's what your kids need. And I would bring you back to this thought. You're giving your kids a gift that they wouldn't normally get in a traditional school setting. School settings, we're just marching on and they're getting a grade. And a lot of times, if their grade is not that good, they might just get shunted into another class. But the idea here is that they're actually learning, actually making progress. If we can kind of hit pause on a certain topic, go back and fill in those gaps, this is something that they are really going to benefit from in a homeschool setting where they might not get that option in a traditional school setting. Let's look into what a week looks like for homeschooling. Now, you could do the traditional Monday to Friday, 8 to 4 p.m. type thing. However, the idea is that we can play with this a little bit. We do Monday to Thursday, about 8:30 to about 12 noon, and then stop for lunch. In the afternoons, they've got time for sports and play and interests, things like cooking or baking or sewing or reading a good book, drawing, all sorts of things that they can just do on their own and explore. Whereas in a traditional school setting, they would still be in school during that time. As a former school teacher, I know that the time spent lining up, getting from place to place, giving instructions, all these things can be really whittled down to just a few hours of school per day where we're learning, getting things done, and then moving on to stuff that is enjoyable for kids. Not to say that learning isn't enjoyable, but you know what I mean. So I did mention Monday to Thursday. Friday is Fun Friday for us. So that gives us a little bit of freedom to do some other things, which I'll mention in a little bit. But the idea here is that we're getting those core subjects in Monday to Thursday. Families, we know, take more of an unschooling approach to things. So they let their kids choose, and it's very free. There's no set schedule. There's no set expectation. There's more of a discovery piece here. So definitely different schedules, different approaches, but there might be a moment where when you're coming out of a school situation that was rather impactful, perhaps in a more negative way than a positive way, you might need a moment to just breathe, let kids discover, let kids explore, let them figure something else out that feels like learning to them, that doesn't have the pressure that they experience in a school environment. It's not a one-size-fits-all thing for every family. Again, I'm coming back to that because I want you to know that there is a huge range of what you could do during your school day. However, the idea is that you've got some options out there. To be clear, this also can change in weeks, in months, and years. This is all going to change as kids progress. This could also change with a new baby, with a move, with something else where you just need to take some time away from school in the middle of the school year. So there's a lot of grace and flexibility that we need to give ourselves. And I will just encourage you that we are stronger than we think. You guys, we can adapt to these schedule changes, and our kids can too. So give them the flexibility, give them the ownership, give them the agency to step into their learning as well, to let you know what they need and to make those changes. That takes a little bit of courage too. So figure out what you can do in order to make learning a little bit more flexible, a little bit more effective for your family in terms of the week, and how you set that up. Now, the last 2 points are things that are really important: fun and money. Here's what I mean. The first one, fun. What do we do with that last day of the week? Friday, we do Fun Friday. So a lot of times this means going on an outdoor adventure. It could mean meeting up with friends and playing games at the library, or it could just be a morning at the dentist because 6 people getting their teeth cleaned does take a little bit of time. So that day could be fun. It could be a little bit of like family admin, but the idea is that it's there and it's not a stressful time for us. The second thing is saving money. Now, when you're planning your vacation, you guys know airfare goes up and hotels go up and the crowds go up during certain times of the year. If we can avoid that, heck yeah, let's do it. So take that September or October vacation and yeah, do something in December for the holidays, go be with family. But the idea is that you can take these off-peak times to really go big and travel and bring some books along, maybe do some math on the airplane. But the idea is that we've got the option to do these extra things during a time where it's not going to break the bank. One more thing to add here is that we as the homeschooling parents need to take care of our longevity as well. I'm not gonna lie, that Friday, Fun Friday, is what I need as well. So it gives me an extra day to just breathe, to know that we can go have some fun, to not feel the pressure of getting all the things done. And it's a break. It just keeps us going. So if there's anything that I could say, it would be to figure out what your family needs again and make those changes. Don't be afraid to do something that is a little bit different than what your kids might have experienced if they were going to a traditional school. Break away from that and make sure that your family is doing well for the long term. We want them to thrive. All right, my friends, I hope this was encouraging to you. If it was, let me know what type of schedule your family uses each year. I would love to hear kind of the different methodologies we might take into account here. But the idea is that we are all walking forward in this homeschool journey and making progress together, right? And then having fun. If no one has told you yet today, thank you for doing what you're doing. It's really important. Happy teaching.